Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you like this episode, please remember to hit the like button and leave a comment or two, then subscribe and click on the bell to receive notifications of whenever we release new videos. Also, please remember to share them to your social media. Welcome back to Scary Bear Attacks. Today's episode takes us to the rugged and forested Canadian province of British Columbia. Mountains stretch for hundreds of miles, covered with thick forests of pine, fir, spruce, and cedar. The banks of most bodies of water are lined with willow bushes and currants. Gooseberries and salmon berries offer their seasonal delights to all visitors. Just north of the small town of McKenzie is a long lake which runs north and south. Williston Lake is remote and has black-tailed deer, elk, moose, mountain goats, brown bears, and lots of black bears. Black bears in this area have plenty to eat, with seasonal runs of salmon packing the streams and creeks throughout the summers. There is abundant game animals between the deer and elk of the area, and berry seasons are spread from spring strawberries to gooseberries, currants, salmon berries, and innumerable other berry species ripening into later summer and early fall. With this much food and a comparable amount of space, black bears are generally not dangerous in this area. On May 31, 2021, 65-year-old Gil Graham was only a few days from retirement. He had spent his entire career helping mining outfits get started in new areas or re-establishing operations in areas previously vacated. For his next assignment, Gil was working with a 7-man crew who were doing preliminary groundwork for a new mining camp in the Williston Lake area. All 7 men were crowded into a camp trailer until they finished their preliminary work. This morning, Gil went outside early into the morning twilight to turn the propane tanks on so the crew could cook breakfast. He bent over a bit and turned the handles on the tank and turned around to go back inside. His mind may have been picturing pancakes and eggs, but this morning a recipe for disaster was being prepared for Gil. As he glanced up, he looked directly into the eyes of a black bear less than 5 feet from him. This wasn't Gil's first run-in with a bear. In fact, he had ran into dozens of bears over his career while working throughout this area. The encounters were never anything serious and had always ended with the bear scampering away, even if there was a momentary standoff, but this time was clearly going to be very different. Upon seeing the black bear, Gil was startled, and so was the bear. Given the extremely close proximity of the two, Gil raised his hands and slowly backed away from the bear in a show of submission and that he wasn't a threat. The bear was already standing on its hind legs and menacingly started to slowly lumber toward Gil. Now, a little information about black bear physiology and behavior is needed to understand Gil's predicament. Black bears tend to look like large dogs when they are on all 4 legs, depending on the size of the bear. The difference is apparent when they stand up on their hind legs. Black bears can be between 5 and 7 feet tall when standing erect. According to the bear experts at Yellowstone Bear World, this behavior relays curiosity more than aggression. Bears tend to stand on their hind legs for a better view of something that has drawn their interest, or to get a sniff of a scent on the breeze. All of these reasons are benign enough, but there is one small detail left out. Bears also stand on their hind feet as a way to measure an opponent and to prove they are bigger and stronger than each other, or a human they might see as competition or prey. The bear's body language indicated to Gil that it was wanting to fight. It pinned its ears back and held its paws out in front of it and low. He was so close to the bear that he could see the shiny claws on its paws as they were stretched toward him. It stared at Gil as it methodically stepped toward him, like a professional wrestler. It didn't take long for the bear to lunge at Gil. It pushed him to the ground faster than he could back away. The power of the bear was overwhelming, and he could post nearly no resistance against its strength and speed. Gil began screaming to the other men in the camper, and they quickly fogged from the door to see what was going on. As they looked around, they could see the black bear standing between Gil's legs. They could see the terror on his face as he yelled and tried to put distance between himself and the bear. They didn't know what to do, and stared helplessly as the bear swatted Gil around, and he tried to dodge as best he could. When Gil exited the trailer and entered the early morning twilight, he had a metal flashlight in his hand. Now this tool was his only means of defense. He began beating the bear over the head with the flashlight as it swatted at him with its paws and pinned him to the ground. As the bear pawed and bit at Gil, it worked its way through his flashlight defense and clamped its jaws onto the flesh on the inside of his thigh. Gil felt several 100 pounds of biting force driving its huge canines through his flesh, causing him to shriek in pain and fear. That is when his co-workers decided to intervene. They began yelling and throwing rocks as they approached the bear. They all scattered as soon as the bear turned its attention to them. As it neared one of the men, another one of them would steal the bear's attention. It chased after them, but because there were so many, it couldn't catch anyone before they made it back to the safety of the camper. After the door on the camper was slammed in its face, it turned its attention back to Gil. As the bear slowly walked back toward Gil, who was still laying on the ground and in pain from the bite to his groin, one of his buddies ran to the company truck. He started up the truck and revved the engine, which immediately drew the bear's attention. Then he flipped the lights on and flashed them several times, and continued to rev the engine as he crept toward the bear, now just a few feet from Gil. He blared the horn in long, steady honks and gradually positioned the truck between the now slowly retreating bear and Gil. About that time, one of the other men emerged from the trailer with a hunting rifle. As he ran clear of the small group of men, he could see a good angle to shoot the bear in a vital location on its body. He took aim and fired at the bear, dropping it in its tracks. Gil's co-workers re-emerged from the camper and gathered round him. They helped him up and put him inside the truck. Gil's bite wound to his thigh and numerous other claw wounds and scrapes were treated at the camp before he was flown to a hospital in Prince George for suturing and medical observation for infection. His wounds began to heal up soon thereafter, and his affable demeanor while in the hospital is obvious in the pictures of him on my Patreon site, linked below. They are not too bad, but definitely illustrate just how powerful Black Bear's jaws can be. Gil expressed gratefulness that his co-workers came to his rescue and prevented any further damage during the bear attack. He expressed gratitude for the knowledgeable and professional care he received from the medical team that treated his wounds as well. His friends started a fund to help offset Gil's medical expenses, and he stated that anything beyond the costs of his treatment will go toward remote medical training programs. Gil worked in the backcountry for 42 years and enjoyed it immensely, though he sheepishly says he should have retired just a few days earlier. It may have helped him avoid the attack. He also stated that he was disappointed and saddened to see the bear die, but that the group was left with no choice in the matter. Its aggression and refusal to leave were proof of its predatory and deadly intent. I don't know about you folks, but I'm not sure why anyone would wait to retire. After reviewing the facts surrounding this episode, I'm left with a few questions for you. Do you think the bear sneaked up on Gil with the intent of predating on him? Is the bear's refusal to leave and continuing to attack the co-workers proof it was intent on killing and eating a human being? What would have happened if Gil's co-workers had not been there to intervene? Do you think you will retire early if possible, just in case? I will be glad to read your thoughts, so please post them in the comments section below and let's talk about it.
Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider clicking on the like button and clicking on the bell icon. We'll help you know when we post our new episodes. Posting our video links to your social media profiles furthers awareness, and it's fun. We slashed our prices in our merch store, linked below, so check out the bargains there while you shop. As a member of our human community, remember to adventure bravely and be careful out there, especially in bear country.